Welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's open up the floor for the second leg of discussions on the program this morning. Joining us is Dr. Adoyi Matthew Omale, who is a public affairs analyst. A very good morning to you, Dr. Omale. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on the program today.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
All right, Doctor, let's start off the discuss from an educational point of view. Ahead of the 2025-2026 UTME admissions, there have been some mixed reactions trailing JAMB's recent policy banning under 16 candidates. I don't know if you got wind of the news, and what do you think of this? Is this policy a little bit too extreme, considering the fact that there are students who might be under the age of 16 and are mentally fit, intelligent enough to go into the tertiary institution?
Well, in my view, I think that enough mechanisms have been put in place to address that. I hear that candidates that are below 16 and are exceptional will be considered in one way or the other by JAMB. I hear that they will be screened and they will ensure that they have the requisite qualification before or experience before they will be taken into the university system. Secondly, I sincerely believe that anybody below 16 years, definitely, there's no need to rush. Because if you look at the 6334 system of education, you at least you should be up to 16 before you can say you will go to university. A situation whereby you are 15 or 14 or 13 and you want to go to the university looks too premature to me. That is my own opinion. What I stood against in the past was for those who are what I stood against was for those who were above 16 years or who were 16 years and to be denied admission.
16 years and above.
Yes.
Okay.
So 16 and above is okay, but below 16, I think it's too low.
Well, I'm here. If you say below 16 is too low, we also got reports that parents are mobilizing to halt this planned screening of exceptional candidates by JAMB. Now, these candidates are candidates that are under the age of 16 and have shown exceptional educational capabilities. Parents whose children are also under the age of 16 and might not be at par with these really exceptional students are set to, halt that screening. It appears that there is, quite a collusion about to happen between JAMB and the parents themselves.
Well, like I said earlier, if you are to follow the educational trend as outlaid, by 10 years you should have finished your primary school. Between 10 to 16 years, you should have finished 6 years of secondary school. Junior secondary school 3 years, and then senior secondary school 3 years. So the actual age for you to be able to go into the university should be 16 years. So anything less than that, I don't know why parents will be in a hurry. I don't know what they are hurrying about. Now, if you say somebody who is 15, 14 years is exceptional, what do you mean by exceptional? What do you mean by exceptionally gifted? That means the person either has to cut some years out of his secondary education and proceed to the university. So to me, I want to use this medium to urge parents as an educationist. Allow your children to finish the cycle of school as laid down. By 16 years, the child can proceed to the university. 16 years is not too late for somebody to acquire university. If you enter the university at 16, for a 4-year program at 20, you are done with your undergraduate program of 4 years. And by 21, you are done with a program of 5 years.
That's correct.
So I want to use this medium to urge parents to be a little bit patient. The issue of exceptional, the issue of being exceptional is relative. It's a relative term. How do you judge an exceptional student, except you are looking at the students in terms of capacity to pass JAMB or to pass WAEC?
Now, the capacity to pass JAMB or to pass WAEC, which is one of the many indices that I believe JAMB is taking or considering, you know, with these exceptional candidates or exceptional students that it has mentioned. Another cause of concern is as to the emotional maturity of these students when they go into universities or go into, you know, higher institutions of learning. Students that are at the age of 14 or the age of 15 or even 16 itself might be considered a little bit too young to be in such academic setting or to be in such setting where there are individuals who are, you know, in their 20s, in their 30s, or even in their 40s, still learning as well. What do you say to this whole situation of, you know, intertwining and mixing underage children and adults who are almost two or three times their age in the same university?
Yes, from experience, peer pressure is one of the key factors that influence young students. So if you go into the university at a very, very young age, the tendency is that you could be influenced. But that is not to say that it is applicable to all category of students. Okay, some, as young as they are, from day one, they know why they are in the university and they refuse to have any peer pressure of whatever form. But many of them, because of they cannot differentiate their left from their right, at the end of the day they get derailed and they begin to indulge in vices such as taking drugs, cultism, and several other things. That is not to say that older students do not engage in this, but the point that is being made is that at least by the time you are going into the university system, you should have attained some level of maturity.
That's right.
So that you can be, because the university system, there is a lot of independence. You are not going to be monitored the way secondary and primary school students are monitored. So by the time you get into the university system, you are supposed to have some degree of freedom, some level of freedom. You stay in the hostel, you can even live off campus. You have all the latitude to be self-independent and so on. I think that's the point that is being made. So at that level, you should have the capacity to be able to know your left from your right, be able to take decisions, be able to withstand some harsh conditions and so on, which a 13 or 14-year or 15-year student may find very difficult to withstand, no matter its level of being gifted. Okay, we are now talking about navigating certain terrain. You can imagine a 14-year-old student living in an off-campus environment, alone and susceptible to a lot of hazards. Okay, so in my mind, parents should beware to allow their children complete their primary school, complete their secondary school as at when due, and proceed to the university at the right time. That to me will ensure that the students will develop better, will be more matured, and will fit into society seamlessly.
Well, while we make these calls, Dr. O'Malley, while we make these calls about ensuring a certain level of maturity for these students before they transit into higher institutions of learning, some parents have, allayed their complaints to JAMB and their concerns and fears as well that denying their children and their words admission into university due to certain age restrictions could fuel social vices in the society. An idle mind, they say, is the devil's workshop. That is the point of view that they are coming from. That if these students are not immediately transitioning from secondary school to the university, that gap, that space that is left there, creates a vacuum for social vices to thrive. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with that argument by parents. But I have given you the school chart that you are supposed to do a primary school, okay, of 6 years.
Yes.
Okay. You are supposed to do a senior secondary school of 3 years. A junior secondary school of 3 years, I mean.
Yeah.
And then you are supposed to do a senior secondary school of 3 years.
That's the 633.
Yes, that's the 633. Okay. Then after the secondary school, because don't forget that if a child, for example, starts primary school at 5 years, for example, and you add 5 years to 12 years, okay?
Yeah.
That will be 17 years. But assuming the child is exceptional, and let's say the child starts primary school at 4 years, then he can still meet up with the 16 years. Because when you start primary school at 4 years plus 12 years, that's 16 years. You can still go. But how can you start primary school at 3 years, for example? A 3-year-old child is still a toddler, looking forward to walking properly and be able to speak. So even if your child started primary school at the age of 2 or 3, that is too early. So I think these things have been arranged properly. So let's just take it that averagely a child starts primary 1 at 4 years. You can still meet up the 16-year requirement.
But doctor, please, I just want you to clear the air on this. Are you denying the fact that there could be some generous children who, are, again, I will say, exceptionally gifted, who might be more intelligent than their peers, who might be more academically sound than their peers, and have now been forced to, being in their minds and in the opinion of their parents, they are being delayed? Are you denying the fact that there are students like that and they should be given preferential treatment in settings like this? That is just what I want you to clarify.
My view is that the issue of delay, recently there was a commissioner nominee that was screened in Benue State, a professor, who was alleged to have left. He said himself that he do not have primary school leaving certificate because he left the primary school at primary 5 to the university, to the secondary school. That from primary 5 he wrote common entrance and then proceeded to secondary school. So please, let us do things the right way. I've taken the pain to explain to you. There's no reason why your child should not begin primary school at the age of 3 or 4 years. What is being exceptional in you starting school at 3 years or 4 years? Okay? So I think the point that is being made is that you should be able to make haste within the required law so that you are not caught up with not having a particular requirement for a particular stage of education. For example, why will your child leave primary school at 4 years and jump primary 5, primary 6, straight to secondary school? I think that's the point that we should be looking at.
So
Recently, I read in some of the media houses that ASU is in line with the JAMB policy that you should be 16 years. What I was against before was that at least 16 years we would have met the minimum standard to go to the university. But anything less than 16, definitely, as far as I am concerned, is not good enough. But in your own words, if you say there are exceptional people, exceptional students, and that is why I say the issue of being exceptional is a relative term. Is it exceptional that you are jumping classes? Is it exceptional that you are in a haste, you don't want to complete the acceptable number of years you are supposed to spend in a particular class? Or is it exceptional that you are hyper intelligent? You are too intelligent that you cannot wait until you jump from one stage to another. So the issue of being exceptional is a very, very relative term.
now,
I think if you are exceptional,
yeah,
at
doctor.
the end of your primary school, you should see that in your primary school leaving certificate, you have A's all through. In
Now,
your wife, you have A's all through.
Doctor, while we argue between JAMB and the parents concerning who is right and who is wrong, I think we are missing out or forgetting one major stakeholder in this picture: the schools that the students are in, the primary schools, the secondary schools that allow for this skipping of classes. Is this a systematic problem? And I mean, the question of its legality is another thing entirely. But should we also blame the schools for allowing students to skip classes due to what they describe as exceptional academic performance in order to further boost or encourage the students to keep at their excellence?
Yes, just like I understand what you are saying. Just like in the university system, no matter how exceptional you are, you have to complete your 4-year program. You cannot jump from 200 level because you are exceptional, and then you are graduated at 200 level. So exceptional does not in any way, and that is how the university runs. In the secondary school, there's nothing like being exceptional, except if you are going to write external GCE without attending the formal secondary school. I think that's where the lacuna is coming from, because some students can go and write WAEC, make all their credits outside the normal school system, and then they tell you that they already have their WAEC, so why would you stop them from going to the university? I think that is where the lacuna is coming from. So at the end of the day, they might not spend the mandatory 6 years in secondary school. I also have children. I insist that my children must complete every stage. I am also a parent, and as several other parents too. So I agree with you that the schools are also complicit. The schools and parents are also complicit. Somebody will want his child to even leave primary 3 to go to secondary school, or somebody whose child just finished JSS may decide the child to go and take. And the point is, why all this haste? Why not make haste slowly? So that is my view. My view is that 16 years is not too late for a child to get university admission. But 13, 14 years is too early. That is my view.
Quite an interesting view you have there, Dr. O'Malley. Let's rest the topic of education and move on to yet another matter. Opposition members in the country are mounting pressure against federal government's planned 5% tax on petrol and diesel. Now, I just want us to take a look at the Vanguard newspaper and get comments of certain political parties and have you react to this proposed 5% taxation on petroleum products. In a moment, the Vanguard comes up with the headline: Opposition mounts against federal government's 5% tax on petrol and diesel. Straplines say stakeholders push against Tinubu's 5% fuel tax. We will mobilize Nigerians against it, JAF vows. Why Tinubu's 5% fuel tax should wait. A statement made by Peter Obi. And 5% petrol tax, a cruel burden on struggling Nigerians, says the ADC. These are the comments coming in from opposition members on the federal government's proposed 5% tax on petroleum products. Your thoughts, please, Dr. O'Malley.
Well, as a public affairs analyst and also a political economist, the matter will be trivialized if it is looked from the prism of opposition politics. The matter, as far as I'm concerned, is not an opposition matter. Though opposition may cash in on such issues to give an indication that they are carrying out their work as opposition parties. But the matter is a matter that affects everybody, whether civil servants, whether public servants, whether market men and women, and the entire citizen. So when you reduce it to that of opposition leaders being against the policy, you are trying to downplay the outcry of the generality of Nigerians. The truth of the matter is that Nigerians are overburdened with taxes. 2 years ago, fuel subsidies were removed, where somebody had to buy a liter of fuel for as much as 1,000 naira. As we speak, it's 890 naira in some filling stations, some 900 naira. This is astronomical. Wages are static. At worst, there was just marginal increase with the 30,000, 70,000 minimum wage. So it is everybody that is crying. And again, now this 5% policy is now being introduced. So it is not a matter of opposition politics. It's a matter of the entire Nigerian citizens groaning under economic hardship.
Well,
you buy 10,000 naira fuel,
yeah,
and then you pay additional 500 for every fuel that you buy above 10,000 naira. How can you go to a filling station now that you will not buy fuel above 10,000? It's not possible, because 10,000 worth of fuel is virtually 10 liters, which cannot take you, assuming you are living in one of the outskirts, it cannot take you to town and back. We are not talking about running your generator all through the day for businesses. So it is an additional tax. It's going to cause inflation. It's going to increase the cost of doing business. It's going to increase the cost of moving around. And it is the entire citizens that are going to bear the brunt of it.
Now this is coming at a time when there was a recent protest, here in the Federal Capital Territory over the activities of the NNPC Limited, and calls were made for either the resignation or the sack of the NNPCL GCEO Ojulari. And a lot of controversies have stemmed up from that protest, and a lot of discussions have also been held. Now, the federal government particularly is stating that the removal of fuel subsidy has saved the FG enough money to be able to pump into states. This is the argument of the federal government. I just want you to relate this 5% taxation on petroleum products to the controversy in the NNPCL, and also the claim by the federal government that the removal of the fuel subsidy is, a driving force that has upped the revenue allocation to states.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, Doctor?
Yes.
Did you get my question?
Yes.
All right, please carry on.
So the NNPCL is a monster
In what way?
that have continued to derail our quest to produce premium motor spirits and other petroleum products locally. As far as I'm concerned, the NNPC has outlived its usefulness. And that is why, because of the incompetency and the incapability of the NNPC to provide refined products for us, that is why we find ourselves in this problem. The NNPC, as you know, is just a cesspool of corruption. And there's really nothing that is happening there. But they have not been able to manage successfully.
Dr. O'Malley, while you lay these allegations and these claims on the NNPCL about corruption, about mismanagement, the current dispensation, the current administration spearheading the affairs of the NNPCL only came to limelight a little under 6 months ago. Now, a lot of individuals are of the opinion that so far, the Ojulari-led NNPCL is trying to revamp the, organization itself and clean up the dirt that has been on it from, past administrations and past leaderships of the NNPCL, and that it might be a little bit too early to, place a verdict on NNPCL when it has only been managed for a little under 6 months by Ojulari and his team.
When you say that kind of thing, I laugh.
Why?
I laugh?
Why?
How can you be talking about NNPC of 6 months? We are talking about NNPC of the past 60 years. And you are reducing what I'm saying to NNPC of past 6 months. Does Ojulari even understand what is happening in that NNPC? So it's not about Ojulari or even about protest. It's about the character and what the NNPC stands for. The NNPC has not done anything. Like I said, it's just a body that is just being created to siphon our oil resources. What has NNPC and any of the petroleum parastatal?
And you have the opinion that NNPCL has outlived its relevance?
That is precisely what I'm talking about. And that is why Dangote and several other bodies are coming up now. And they are running their thing. The licenses, BUA is going into petroleum refinery. Other people are going in. It shows that the NNPC is already lame duck. In the next few years, you are not going to have anything like who is going to take NNPC serious. Nobody takes NNPC serious any longer. Every year, turnaround maintenance. Every year, all kinds of program that cannot put anything. Even the ordinary filling stations, they cannot run properly. Even when they import products, they cannot be consistent even in importing products. So what are we talking about NNPC? So it is just glaring that NNPC has failed, and it's not about 6 months of reform by Ojulari or anybody who is in charge, because the content and character, you cannot change what has been the norm and the trend overnight, as you have rightly said. What can he do within 6 months? He can't do anything. Even in the next 2 years or in the next 5 years, we saw how Mele Kyari and his gang, they are giving pipeline surveillances. contracts
Doc,
to
doc,
people to survey pipeline, pay billions of naira,
Dr.
and then they
Omale,
are charging us 5% to pay 500 naira for every 10 liter of fuel.
well, that is
And
where I just want us to keep the conversation, directed towards the 5% taxation on petrol and diesel. It has been established that Nigerians are already overburdened by taxation. There is a lot of taxes, in the place of the VAT. There is the PE. There's the withholding tax. A lot of taxes, personal income tax, and now you have this taxation on petroleum products. What would you rather have the federal government do? Away from, opposition or political comments now, in reality, what should the government or the federal government do to ensure that while we clamor and, clamor for more revenue generation, we don't put the whole burden, or the federal government doesn't put the whole burden on the heads and backs of poor Nigerians?
well, I like this question because what I'm going to say is not new. It's what everybody has been saying. The first thing is cost of governance. When I was reading about this 5% tax, everything everybody is saying is that, oh, they've come again. They want to tax us so that they can have more money to fund their luxurious lifestyle. So it is not if you look at the Nigerian budget, you will weep for this country. Budget every year that is passed by the National Assembly. All you see in most of the budget are solar street lights, flyovers, foreign training and tours, all kinds of line items. So you have to cut down the cost of governance. You have to cut down irrelevant and bogus projects that is dotting our budget. Rather than just taxing people, what are you using the money that you are taxing people for? You are not using it to generate any positive wealth. You are just using it to fund a budget that makes no sense. And that is the problem.
So when you when
So
you when
my
you when you talk
opposition to
when you
the
talk
tax,
about cost of governance, in what
yes,
uh, what perspective exactly are you talking about? The overhead costs, cutting off of the overhead costs. Are you talking about reduction of certain allowances, certain benefits for political office holders? What areas should be
all
cut
are
down?
involved. Allowances for public office holders, proliferation, duplication of ministries, agencies, and parastatals, creating of all kinds of schools, all kinds of parastatals that makes no sense. Because when you create a parastatal or you build a school, you have to set up all kinds of bodies that will drive that parastatal or school, at times in almost all the states of the federation, and so on. So we are not laying the foundation for a Nigeria of the future. All we are just doing is every National Assembly member wants to have a school established in their constituency. Everybody wants to establish one federal parastatal or the other in their constituency. So, and the cost of governance keep on ballooning, and the cost of funding these programs of these projects that do not add any value to the economy is now being transferred in the name of taxation. That is the point that is being made. It has nothing to do with opposition politics. We need to tell ourselves the truth. Our budgeting system has problem. Our governance system is problematic. Our expenditure is problematic, and many other issues that we have. So that is the point, and I think I've been able to answer your question.
Well, Doctor, still in relation to this, but we'll move on to another topic. The federal government is backing its revenue growth claims where the president recently said that Nigeria had met its 2025 revenue target and that there will be no more local borrowing. Uh, this is also coming off, comments from the federal government stating that state revenue, like I said earlier, state government revenues have more than doubled since the removal of fuel subsidy. Do you think that Nigerians are feeling the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy via, capital projects, either by the federal government or in states that have now started receiving or that have been receiving double the amount of money as revenue since the removal of fuel subsidy?
You just want to put words into my mouth. I think I've said it all. There's virtually in all indices of economics, apart from statistics that are rolled out by the Bureau for Statistics, which have always been disputed, there's virtually no movement. As political economists, we know that the living standard of Nigerians has not improved. We know that.
But individuals like that, like the APC North Central Vice Chairman, is saying that even PDP governors are happy with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration.
You see, I don't want us to talk about partisan politics. What? Because when you put it into partisan politics, you water down the seriousness of what we are discussing. What we are discussing has nothing to do with President Bola Tinubu or to do with PDP or APC.
Dr. Omale, we have seen PDP members coming out to endorse President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ahead of 2027 general elections. We have seen governors of the governor of Anambra State, who is a member of APGA, endorsing the president. So whether or not we want to include politics into this conversation, it is undeniable that
key
stakeholders. It is undeniable that key stakeholders are still politicians.
Is it today that we are seeing political endorsement?
But are they happy with the Tinubu-led administration or not? Are they happy with the Tinubu-led administration? I mean, these states are now receiving double the amount of fiscal allocation. That is the focal point of the discussion here, Dr. Omale.
Let me just ask you a simple question. If it is you that your allocation has been doubled by almost 50 or 100%, won't you clap for the government?
But is that not a good thing?
Whether you are APGA, whether you are PDP, or whether you are APC, the governors are smiling to the bank. The question I want to ask you is that what is happening in most of the states? Even the president is asking them, what is happening? The highest thing that is happening is that they are building a flyover somewhere, and that is all. Even payment of salaries or even minimum wage is a battle. So, my brother, the issues are very, very clear. It is not about party. The endorsement of president is the psychopathy that we talk about. It's not about endorsement that matter. It's about how the lives of the people have been touched. That is what matters. Anybody can go to the media and endorse anybody. For that is why I say most of these issues are subjective. You want a governor who is enjoying all the perks of office and who is looking for either re-election or looking for federal government support to begin to talk against the president. We must be very realistic in how we do our analysis. So you don't expect any governor now to take the gauntlet and begin to antagonize the president. It is only public affairs analysts like us, maybe some journalists who are in the fourth estate of the realm, or maybe some opinion figures that have nothing at stake, that may be speaking and trying to advise the government to do the right thing. But most of these sycophants and all these people in public offices, they are more interested in safeguarding their political offices than saying things the way it should be. So please, you have to understand. I do not have anything against the Tinubu government. Most of the issues he has met are issues that were ongoing before even he came to power. So it's not about, like I said, about Ojulari. It's not about Tinubu or anybody. The Nigerian society need a fundamental twist. And it is not just about a particular person in government. That is why the United States and most of the developed countries are very strong and powerful. They have institutions that outlive governments. They have foreign policies, they have economic policies that outlive regimes. So it's not about Tinubu, it's not about APC, it's not about anybody. We are talking about Nigeria, the Nigeria economy, which is the Nigerian state is more important than any other individual or any other person. That is the point that you should note. But here everything we look at it from the prison of partisan politics. It's not good enough.
Well, Dr. Omale,
let's the national interest of the country.
Let's keep politics aside. The full subsidy has been removed. It was removed from the onset, day one of the Tinubu-led administration during his swearing in. That alone has burdened Nigerians in a certain way. With this 5% tax on petroleum products, petrol and diesel as well, again, I would ask, is there a part that the government can tread, apart from, adding taxation on an already expensive commodity, to generate revenue? Is there a way that the government can put aside all of these things? I know you mentioned what is it now? Cost of government, running the government, cutting down the cost of running the government. But beyond that, in terms of palliatives, in terms of incentives, under the Renewed Hope, initiative, is there more that the government can do in this regard?
I am somebody that I don't support all these palliatives, because at the end of the day, with what you are seeing in the humanitarian ministry and all the poverty eradication or intervention agencies, you discover that all these issues of palliative are just rubbish. Okay? It's also still another very, 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 very nebulous programs. School feeding, all those programs, if you are to do an assessment of their impact, you will be so disappointed. So let's not even go into all those things. The issue is not about palliatives. Palliatives are just on paper. Okay? What we need is a wholesale review of our economic direction. And one of the areas, to answer your question, one of the areas that we should be looking at is to look at other alternative sources of revenue. Solid minerals. God has endowed this country with enough human and material resources. We have no reason to be poor. We have no reason to even be taxing people 500 naira for 10 liters of fuel. It's shameful. That is not the type of thing we should be talking about. When the whole country is fertile, arable land everywhere, agriculture, fertile land everywhere. Look at animal husbandry, cattle ranching, all kinds of things that we can generate money from. And then we are talking about everybody's eyes is on petroleum consumption taxes. My brother, there are so many things that we can generate funds from. Not about petrol. Every government comes subsidy. We were told, I was one of those that opposed removal of petroleum subsidy. I have spoken on every forum, on every lecture that I have given. I was against it. But since it has happened, today, all the points I have raised about subsidy have come to pass. With 2 years of subsidy removal, where are we? How far have we gone? You see, a lot of economists will come and tell you bogus things about economy. Economy is a very simple and straightforward matter. We must be sincere with ourselves. And as political economists, the simple thing they tell us in the economy is that economy is all about improving the living standard of the people. Any economics that does not lead to the improvement in the welfare and living standard of the people is not a progressive economic program. So in elementary political economy, you are taught that. So in 2 years of subsidy removal, and let me throw the question back to you. Are you happy with what you are seeing in Nigeria?
Well, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on that, Dr. O'Malley.
No, I'm only throwing it back to you.
Well,
So
I have
I
my
am
answer,
telling
but I can't say it on air. That's just my stand on it.
you. So the truth of the matter is that there are so many ways that we can generate revenue. Recently, the cost of passport was increased to 100,000. There's nothing you do now that is not money. Where are the citizens going to get this money from? You want to park? I went to Federal Secretariat. I wanted to park my car. They say I should pay 100 naira. I went somewhere again to park. They say so. Everything now, everybody is taxed everywhere. From which resources? How much money? We compare ourselves with the US. We compare ourselves with developed countries. What is the wages in those countries? What is the per capita income in those countries? Is it here that you are paying somebody 100,000, 120,000, 50,000, which is less than $100, and then you are comparing? It's anywhere you go, you should go. So all the money you use it to pay for parking spaces, pay for fuel tax, pay for subsidy removal, and where are you going to get the money from?
Well, Dr.
A
O'Malley,
typical Nigerian civil servant that uses his car to the office spend close to 200,000 to 300,000 monthly on putting fuel in his car to the office. Where is he going to get that money from? From the salary that is being paid as a level 7 or level 8 officer?
these are important questions that I believe that are on the minds of Nigerians, including myself. But we have about 5 to 7 minutes to wrap up the conversation, and there's a dimension I want us to shift gears into, and that is security. So earlier this week, we saw the Northern Elders Forum asking the president to declare a state of emergency on insecurity in the northern part of the country. Of course, we know the northeast with the Boko Haram insurgency, the northwest with the banditry and kidnapping, the north central, particularly Benue and Plateau, also with their own problems. This time around, it's the youth of Sokoto who are demanding an end to insecurity via government intervention. Now, they particularly sent a very strong message to the federal government, stating that if the government fails to protect them, they are ready to pick up arms. What do you say to the situation?
You saw how I took a deep breath.
Yeah.
we are just joking in this country. We are just joking, and that is why we make ourselves the laughing stock of the world. With technology, with advanced surveillance equipment that the whole world is using today, we still find ourselves in this type of security mess that we are in this country. It's a shame. Tell me, what state of emergency, what sector has a state of emergency been declared in this country since independence and it worked? So what do you mean by calling on government to declare state of emergency? Do we need a state of
But
emergency before?
at the height of the Boko Haram insurgency, a state of emergency was declared on the northeastern part of the country, consisting of Borno, Yobe, Gombe, Adamawa, Bauchi, and Taraba states.
Yes. So I'm asking you, or I'm
But
asking
but that
hypothetically.
yielded some certain level of results by stemming down the insurgency and also allowing the armed forces to work at full swing to bring about peace and stability to certain parts of the state. I mean, in Adamawa State, as it is right now, the topic of Boko Haram attacks is an old issue. There is no very little to no attacks. The only place where you'd find pockets of attacks in villages and rural communities is in Borno State. So that has also helped. Now the NEF is asking that the president should extend, that formula that was done in the northeast to the entire northern region.
Well, what I'm saying is that security is everybody's business. Whether a state of emergency is declared or not, what the principal duty of a government is to safeguard lives and properties. I am from Benue State, for example. One thing I want to commend is that for the first time, I have seen people accused of terrorism that have been arraigned in court. So that one, I clap for the government, because some few days ago I saw that 9 suspects were arraigned for the attack on Yelwa community. That gladdens my heart, and that is the way to go. If we have all this advanced technology, they say we should register NIN so that phone numbers that kidnappers are using, they can be tracked and traced and apprehended. But we're not seeing arrests and convictions. So I was very happy when 9 suspects were arraigned, and even one has to plead guilty even before the trial will commence. So that is a positive light. If these terrorists are arrested and charged to court and imprisoned, as the case may be, probably we would have not been seeing what is happening. I read some few days ago a governor saying that he knows where all the bandits are staying.
That's the
So
Zamfara
what are
state
we waiting
governor.
for? If the governor knows where all the bandits are, what are we waiting for? That is why I say the issue goes beyond declaration of a state of emergency. We should be able to use our security apparatus to track, trace, apprehend, and decimate, whether it is bandits, whether it's kidnappers, whether it is insurgents, whatever name you call them, because the Nigerian situation now, you don't even know which is which. You were talking of Boko Haram now. Boko Haram is a name in the northeast. Whether it is Boko Haram that has transformed to other forms of insecurity is left for us to understand. But the point that is being made is that whether a state of emergency is declared or not, we have enough security apparatus, the army, the police, the DSS, the NIA, the Office of the National Security Advisor. There are many other civil defense. There are many other bodies that of government that should drive the process of securing lives and property. So whether a state of emergency is declared or not, there's perpetual state of emergency as long as security is concerned, because that is the primary aim and role of government, protecting lives and property. So there should always be emergency on security.
All right,
okay, do you understand that point?
Dr. Adoye, I understand the point. At all times, there should be an emergency of security to ensure that tensions do not escalate beyond control. Well, a fine place to leave the conversation here, Doctor. We
Yes, and
must thank
finally,
you All right, carry
I'm
on.
happy that the issue of state police should see the light of the day because all security is local. So, as part of the declaration of emergency on security, the issue of state police should be considered seriously because it is those that are living in particular areas that know how they can tame insurgents or terrorists within their enclave.
Well, Doctor, we hope we will most likely have you in the studio next time to further discuss the state police situation now that the president is ready to support it in full gear. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, and
Thank you. Always
thank
my
you.
pleasure to be on ADBN television.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that has been Dr. Adoyi Matthew O'Malley, who is a public affairs analyst speaking to us on certain matters of national concern.